Merlin, the grandest mage of Arthurian legend, is an enigmatic entity. He lives as a demi-incubus, born from his mother, a princess of Wales, and his father, a full-blood incubus. Of course, incubi are male phantasmal creatures, akin to their female succubi counterparts. They thrive by manipulating and feeding off of the dreams of humans, and can change form as necessary through the power of illusion. This holds true for Merlin as well, despite his mixed blood. He is especially skilled in illusionism magecraft, allowing him to project illusions into the human psyche to create a false reality for his targets. When it comes to the dreams he consumes, he prefers pleasant dreams of hope, but more realistically, settles for nightmares, which are more common and substantial. While being part human, Merlin does not sympathize with humanity, ultimately feeling alien to their plights. That said, he loves humanity, particularly their mischief and women. This passion is reflected in his magecraft, bearing the fruit of life, earning him the title Magus of Flowers. Even in his youth, Merlin is gifted with powerful clairvoyance, allowing him to perform prophecies. In fact, it is through these prophecies that he finds himself a court magus for Britain under Uther Pendragon. He has a vision of two dragons who sleep beneath Mount Emrys, destined to battle one another once awake. He predicts the red dragon is Britain, soon to be forced into a conflict with the white dragon, the Saxons. In the wake of this, he prophesies the coming of a king who will save Britain and expand it through Gaul and Rome. The accuracy of his prophecies prove themselves, and he is employed by Uther to continue providing visions of the future. The drama of this is what lures Merlin to the position. The court magus has a youthful nature and appearance, adorned with a robe woven from the finest fabrics, with hair shining with the colors of a sunlit rainbow. Ironically, despite his position, Merlin does not consider magecraft his specialty, because he often stumbles during thaumaturgical incantations. Every pro he possesses is mirrored by a characteristic flaw. As talented and serious as he is, Merlin can also be a lecherous playboy. In all, he is powerful, yet aloof. He reveals his nature when assisting Uther Pendragon in matters of courtship. Knowing the great threat the Saxons pose, the two seek a way to produce an heir, the once and future king of Britain, strong enough to oppose their greatest opponent, Vortigern, the White Dragon. The answer is simple then: produce an heir, imbued with the power of the Red Dragon Merlin had prophesied. Thus, Merlin grants Uther the ability to pursue Lady Igraine, wife of the Duke of Cornwall, by disguising him as her husband. This raises conflict, but ultimately results in Uther's marriage with Igraine. As planned, Merlin is able to imbue their child with the essence of a dragon, filled with the dragon's magical energy. After much anticipation, Uther is upset to discover the child is born a girl. Nonetheless, Merlin insists this girl will grow into a wonderful king who will save their war-torn country. At an impasse, Merlin takes the baby girl, Artoria, into his own care. With the help of an honorable knight, Sir Ector, and his son, Sir Kay, Merlin begins to shape the child into Britain's next king. As the matter of Artoria's gender becomes obvious, Merlin has Sir Kay vow to keep the truth a secret. As Artoria grows, Merlin teaches her in matters of kingship as a foster father of sorts. Through his talents as an incubus, he even goes so far as to tutor the young girl in her dreams. Before long, Artoria develops into an honorable squire with the skills of a knight worthy of the throne. At this time, Britain is in need of a miracle king more than ever, and to earn the people's trust, the king must ascend through merit. Thus, Merlin prepares the Sword of Selection, Caliburn, golden sword of the victorious, forging it with all his skills as a magus. On the day to select Britain's new king, contenders for the throne are introduced to the sword, wedged deep within a slab of stone. On the blade's hilt is an inscription: "Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone is rightwise king of all England." They try and fail to draw the sword, deciding to forego the test in favor of jousting to decide the kingship. In their absence, Artoria approaches Caliburn, sensing all of her training has led up to this moment. As she reaches for the sword, Merlin offers another prophecy, a warning that if she pulls the sword, she will surely become an inhuman king, resented by her people, and will die a miserable death. Despite these consequences, Artoria accepts responsibility for all her actions, raising Caliburn above her head in triumph. From this day forward, she can no longer age, while at the same time, she is unable to live a peaceful civilian life. Throughout her campaign, Artoria is guided by Merlin. This allows her to defeat her enemies and ease Britain's hardships. In time, however, he discovers he had made a mistake in guiding her. She certainly has become selfless and ruthless, disregarding her own needs and desires, to the point that her own people criticize her humanity. Nonetheless, the deed has been done, and Artoria must press on as king. Ultimately, Artoria's female biology becomes an issue in producing children. Should she need an heir, her marriage with Lady Guinevere cannot bear fruit. That is, until Merlin comes up with a solution. Using magecraft, he transforms Artoria into a pseudo-male capable of producing sperm. While the transformation is a success, it is short-lived, as Artoria's own sister, Morgan Le Fay, takes advantage of the situation. At night, she sneaks into Artoria's castle at Camelot and encounters Merlin on the way. Despite her wickedness, Morgan is quite beautiful, more than enough to lead Merlin astray so she can silence him. This blunder allows Morgan to encounter the king, enchant her, sleep with her, and steal her mana-infused seed. Upon escaping, Morgan develops a child born through incest, resulting in the homunculus, Mordred. Merlin's experiment is considered a failure, and the matter of an heir is set aside in favor of more pressing matters. The Sword of Selection, Caliburn, is shattered, leaving the young king in need of new armaments. It is then that she meets with Vivian, the Lady of the Lake, who bestows upon her the divine construct Excalibur and its scabbard Avalon. When Merlin hears of this, he asks Artoria to specify which of the two artifacts is more valuable. Artoria, an aggressive warrior, chooses the sword. Merlin chides her, explaining the value of Avalon, which will keep her safe. Regardless, he allows the king to follow her own path, even though he knows through clairvoyance that the journey will end in failure, with Lancelot's affair and Mordred's rebellion. However, Merlin keeps this knowledge to himself. Their last conversation is just prior to Artoria's expedition to Rome. While Artoria gives Merlin a warm smile, he knows her smiles are never for herself, but for others. She humbly thanks Merlin for being an excellent mentor. She questions whether or not her feelings for him are love. After Artoria departs, Merlin remarks on the irony of their conversation. Neither Merlin, an incubus, nor Artoria, a selfless king, know anything about true love. Regardless, as the one responsible for her being this way, he wishes that she find happiness, that she is able to rest her furious kingship and enjoy her own being. He cannot force this happiness upon her, however. Rather than interfering with the lives of individuals, Merlin instead observes the hands of fate. Upon departing Camelot, Merlin comes across a beast-class creature, Cath Palug, in its infancy. He manages to tame the beast as his familiar. He also encounters Vivian, Fairy of the Lake, and trains her in thaumaturgy as they court one another. However, his promiscuity eventually spurns her ire. Thus, Vivian uses her acquired skills in magecraft against him, attempting to murder him for angering her. In an attempt to flee the Fairy of the Lake, Merlin takes refuge in the reverse side of the world, where phantasmal beings from the Age of Gods migrated. Among the gods and other divine beings born from human worship, there is also the concept of Avalon, the king's promised utopian paradise. It exists as a separate world, referred to as the Land of the Eternal Spring. It is a land based on human history, but cut off from the decay and destruction of the planet. Merlin visits Avalon and finds a place of spring sunshine and summer fragrance, with autumn air and winter stars at night. Here, flowers bloom in all colors, across sloping plains, with a distant forest between the land and cascading sky above. It is devoid of human life, instead graced by fairies. As such, Avalon is filled with dense mana, prompting Merlin to consider weaponizing the paradise. Regardless, Merlin believes himself to be free from Vivian's reach, and carelessly comes upon a stone gate with the inscription, "Only the innocent may pass." He senses this to be a trap, but proceeds through the gate anyway. All around him, stone walls erect from the ground and extend to create a tall prison tower, called the Garden of Avalon. Both he and his familiar, Camelot, are trapped within the confines of the tower, presumably for eternity. While in the tower, Merlin cannot die. Instead, he is left to observe humanity until the end of the universe. Reflecting upon his raising of King Arthur, Merlin decides to release Camelot, hoping he will seek out something beautiful. Camelot makes his way to the Chaldea Security Organization and is allowed to roam the premises as a pet, with no one on staff aware of the tremendous mana flowing through the adorable beast they call Foe. From his tower prison, Merlin envisions humanity's end at the hands of Solomon's demon gods. Again, just as with Artoria, he remains silent of this knowledge, instead spending his time deceptively communicating with Dr. Roman via the alias of the internet idol Magi Mari. While he is more than willing to support Chaldea's master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, he refuses to interfere with humanity's will or intentions. He insists humans should struggle to change their own fates. Because Merlin has yet to die, he has no way of helping Chaldea as a conventional heroic spirit. His soul is not recorded into the throne of heroes. To overcome this, Merlin utilizes a skill known as independent manifestation, an advanced product of his illusionism, to effectively pretend to be summoned as a servant. Because this skill is unique to the beast class, Merlin is able to manifest as a servant in the Babylonia Singularity via the beast Tiamat by keeping her asleep. In battle, Merlin is proficient in swordplay, even teaching Artoria as one of her instructors. He can possess Excalibur to an extent, preferring it over combat magecraft. He insists smacking opponents with a holy sword is much easier than trying not to bite his tongue during a long incantation. Regardless, he lets loose his full magecraft through his noble phantasm, Garden of Avalon, the forever sealed utopia, allowing him to spread warmth, sunlight, and abundant flowers in even the darkest of locations. It is the manifestation of hope, blessing those who fight at his side. Unfortunately, Tiamat awakens as a result of defeating Gorgon, in turn destroying Merlin's manifestation. Knowing Chaldea needs him in the fight against Tiamat, Merlin takes advantage of the Human Order incineration protocol to escape his tower prison in Avalon and assist in Babylonia. He arrives just in time to counteract Tiamat's Sea of Life, which is polluting the underworld, replacing it with a field of brilliant flowers. Ultimately, as someone who feels isolated from the human race, Merlin wishes to leave the future in the hands of humans, in this case Ritsuka. By assisting the Master, Merlin merely wishes to clear a path for Ritsuka's destiny and gaze at the beauty to unfold from Chaldea's struggle. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and most of all, smashing that notification bell as if it were your waifu. That way you'll never miss out on all of my anime content, lore videos, live streams, and Holy Waifu Wars polls. My vids are struggling to get featured, so that bell is absolutely critical. If you want to support me directly, check out my Patreon, or consider donating via Super Chat. And as always, celebrate your fandom.